Hello and welcome to FPL Mates, your best mate for fantasy Premier League content for the 2021-22 season. My name is Dan and today we are finally back on the Fantasy Premier League, the FPL grind. We're back on it, guys. We've got a month now until the first game of the season, the time to lock in our game week 1 teams. And thankfully, guys, I've got a month-long calendar of content just for you. So it's not going to stop. There's going to be so many Fantasy Premier League videos, guys, and I know you're just going to enjoy every single one. And I thought today we start off with one of my favourite videos to make at the start of any season of any fantasy game, and that is looking at the bargain players of the year. Who are the bargains? Who have we identified as those cheap players should be priced a little bit higher, but for some reason they've been priced pretty low? We can identify them and put them into our teams. Now, guys, if you do enjoy this video, then please do leave a like, especially if you're looking forward to the new Fantasy Premier League season. And of course, if you're new around here, do subscribe here as well, as we look to get 100,000 subscribers by the end of the calendar year. Let's see if we can do that. But guys, without further ado, let's have a look at my 8 best bargain players, starting with the most expensive and working our way down to the cheapest bargain you can possibly get. So my first bargain player is Kai Havertz at 8.5 million. Now, Havertz looked good in the second half of the season for Chelsea under Thomas Tuchel. 3 goals and an assist in his 7 starts since the 27th of January. What we have here is an improving player coming off the back of, learning to play well in the Premier League, I suppose, but also some really strong performances in that Germany Euro campaign. Now, he was often deployed as a striker, which is something we quite like in fantasy, isn't it? An out-of-position player, if you like, is a player listed as one position but actually plays further up the pitch than suggested. This means we get all the benefits that midfielders get in FPL, like the extra point for any goal scored, an extra point if Chelsea keep a clean sheet, but we also get the benefit of our player being in all of those crucial attacking positions, much like a striker typically would. So Havertz will pick you up points for goals, assists, bonus points for those attacking actions because of his positioning. Now, some of the concern with Havertz, and maybe a reason why he is priced kind of a little bit lowly, I guess, is because he is a little bit of a rotation risk. Now, Chelsea, they've kind of turned into a bit of a second Man City, a second Pep Roulette, whereby we don't really know who is going to be playing and when. Now, some of Havertz's lack of game time last year was down to injury, but some of it, he was just being rotated. Now, I do think it's worth noting that though some of his rotation was actually when Chelsea were kind of going in for their final rounds of the Champions League campaign. Now, Havertz started 5 out of 6 games in the UCL under Tuchel and played 90 minutes in 4 out of those 5 games. So this suggests to me that he's very much one of the main starting players and he's going to be a priority pick in the Chelsea attack. So as for minutes, I'm actually not too worried. I think that the Champions League had a lot to do with the rotation last season. I think things are going to be a lot better this season. I think he's going to get more and more game time as time goes on as well. He's constantly improving. He's looking fantastic. He's selling into the Premier League really well finally at the end of last season. So, I think it's really good. Chelsea fans, you can let me know as well, but I'm sure you're going to agree with me that Kai Havertz for 8.5 million is definitely a bargain. Next up is Mason Greenwood at 7.5 million. Now, Greenwood I kind of earmarked as a potential bargain pretty early on when the FPL game first dropped for this year. Now, Man United, they kind of arguably have the best opening run of fixtures. Now, Greenwood was sensational at the end of last season. It was sensational at the end of the season before, right? Let's just see if he can start off his season well. That's kind of what we're after, isn't it? Now, he often plays as a striker despite being listed as a midfielder, but then, we kind of have Sancho coming in, Cavani, maybe he gets lots of minutes as a striker. I kind of thought, where does Greenwood fit in? Should I actually be putting him in? Manchester United have these amazing fixtures. Greenwood is, is this sensational player, out of position sometimes. But is he going to play? Is he going to get that game time? And this is where things have changed a little bit and why he's come back into the category of bargain, in my opinion. So, Marcus Rashford, he is facing the prospect of 3 months out as he's going to have an operation to deal with his long-standing shoulder issue. Now, with Rashford out for months, this gives Greenwood a clear path to the team. And you'd probably say he starts most, if not every game, sometimes on the wing, sometimes as a striker. So to get a very talented, very attacking Manchester United forward with great attacking numbers for 7.5 million, just wow. That's just wow. Absolute bargain. I honestly think that with Bruno Fernandes being so expensive this year, Greenwood can provide that perfect alternative to get you into the Manchester United attack. I really like this one. Next up is Raphinha at 6.5 million. Raphinha, the creativity machine, guys. He's a machine. Now, very few players were actually able to match his creativity last season, and he was ranked amongst the top players for key passes, big chances created, expected assists, and so on and so forth in the Premier League. In the second half of the season in particular, from game week 20 onwards, he was number 1 for assists, number 1 for expected assists, and only Trent Alexander-Arnold was able to beat him for those big chances created. He also has the huge benefit of being on set pieces for Leeds as well. In terms of shooting and goal scoring, he's no joke there either. Amongst Leeds players, he ranks second in pretty much every shooting metric. So after Patrick Bamford, if you're looking for goals in that Leeds side, it's going to be Raphinha, right? But you know what else? He's also such a fun player to own in FPL because he's great to watch, he's great to root for. Now, those of you who have been with me for a while on this channel will know how much I admire Raphinha. The FPL mate community, I guess, we've kind of been, we're kind of some of the first people to buy Raphinha in our droves, some of the first people to really get behind Raphinha and kind of expect a lot of him. So, you know, we're big fans of him over here. We still love him to this day. The problem with Raphinha has always been, however, that his creativity is only useful when his teammates finish the chances he creates. Now, Leeds are not that great at finishing, generally speaking, which leads, no pun intended, to Raphinha sometimes underperforming. But still, 6.5 million for one of the best wingers in the Premier League. It's a great bargain, and you know, if Leeds have another great season as they did last year, it's the 6.5 million price tag is going to look so good. Next is Emiliano Buendía, one of my favourite names in the Premier League as well. 6.5 million here. A problem a lot of people are facing right now is who to go for, Raphinha or Buendía. Both of them are 6.5 million midfielders. One reason why you might want to go for Buendía could be is for those opening 3 fixtures for Villa. So 2 of them are actually against newly promoted teams as well. Watford, Newcastle, and then Brentford. That's not bad at all, right? There's also the fact that he was amazing in the 2019-20 season for Norwich in the Premier League. The problem kind of was the quality of the players around him, kind of like Raphinha, but a little bit more extreme. He was linked with all kinds of teams, including Arsenal, Atletico Madrid. So it's big teams he was linked with, like to be a main starting player. He really is that good. He kind of then proves that he's way too good for the championship level. So if you think of him, oh, he's just come up for the championship, how good can he be? He had an insane 15 goals and 17 assists in 39 games in the championship. That's just incredible. 32 goal contributions. It's absolutely mad. So this kind of comfortably earned him the Championship Player of the Season award as well. So he's elite level. He's better than that, guys. Okay, and finally he's earned himself a little move to a bigger club. A very ambitious, improving Aston Villa side. They're kind of likely to part ways with Jack Grealish, who's 8 million on the game. And they're going to be buying some great quality players as well with that money by the looks of things. They already started, haven't they, really? I think if Buendía slots straight into the Grealish position, as he should, as he probably will, then this could be really, really good. You know, you're getting essentially a much cheaper version of Jack Grealish, and that's why it's such a bargain. Please do not get distracted by the fact that Buendía is not such a well-known name in the Premier League particularly. He's just an insanely good football player. He's going to tear up the Premier League for the second time, but this time he's going to be the talisman of a much bigger team, a much more ambitious team, and he's going to prove his value of 6.5 million is that's just going to look like a joke by the end of the season. Trust me, guys, it's going to look incredible. So yeah, definitely a bargain. Next up is Josh King, 5.5 million. So some of you guys might remember Josh King mostly for his Premier League seasons of the past, although he had a brief stint at Everton last season where he was, it was only kind of really used as a sub as a few minutes in each game. We mostly know him from his days at Bournemouth, but when he signed for Watford and his price was revealed at 5.5 million, I thought, oh my God, that's pretty good, right? So I've kind of been struggling to find those good cheap forwards who have the potential to bang. There are a few about, but there's not that many. So Josh King at 5.5 million really stands out to me as possibly the best bargain in the forward position, just because there's just such a ridiculously he's such a low price for a forward who's he's likely to start most games. Only costs 5.5 million. That is insanely low price. It really is so cheap. I'm not saying he's going to set the world alight. You kind of have to manage your expectations a little bit with this one. He's a very cheap bargain price at the end of the day. But he has a great track record in the Premier League. He's probably going to be on penalties for Watford in Troy Deeney's absence. He's a great enabler, and he allows you to spend your money, your really tough, strict budget on players in other areas of the pitch as well. So for that reason, certified bargain. Next up is Bryan Mbeumo, 5.5 million. Now, for those of you who don't know much about Mbeumo, he's a young winger who has been kind of one of Brentford's star players, I guess, for the past 2 seasons. He's he's capable of playing as a striker. He's played as a striker a few times before alongside Tony when Brentford play a 5-3-2 formation, something that I think they might actually do a little bit more in the Premier League, because it's kind of a tougher league to play in, right? So in which case, what do we have? We have another out of position player. Really nice. So in the 2019-20 championship season, he scored 15 goals and got 8 assists. In the 2020-21 championship season, he scored 8 goals and got 11 assists. He's nailed on. He's going to play every single game for Brentford. And whilst he doesn't attract the same headlines, I guess, as Ivan Toney, he's an equally crucial player in their attack. So if you're rooting for the underdogs, Brentford, to have a really good season up in the Premier League, become the new Leeds, if you like, become the new Sheffield United of the season before that, a really good performing Premier League side despite just coming up from the Championship, then Mbeumo at 5.5 million is kind of a risk-free option to put in your team and an absolute bargain for such a low price. Now we have Wesley Fofana, 4.5 million. Now this is a really interesting one, and I don't think Fofana is a particularly essential pick or anything like that. And he's kind of a guy who has a ceiling of 6 points. He's unlikely to get goals, he's unlikely to get assists or even bonus points, but 4.5 million for a nailed-on defender for Leicester City, one of the best teams in the entire league, it just seems incredible for me. I'm not really sure how he ever got priced at 4.5 million. He just seems like such a 5.5 million, well, probably not 5.5 because of the way the prices have been structured this year, but you've got to say he's a 5 million player. So to get that 0.5 off in defence is just a huge percentage. If you look at the scale of defenders' prices, that's such a big discount, really. Even though it only seems like 0.5, it really is such a discount in terms of defenders. It's just so cheap for what he is. Now, I personally like players who have a little bit more explosivity than Fofana. I like a player who's fun to watch, fun to own, and can randomly bag you a 10-pointer in a game or more maybe. But for those of you who are just happy to sit back and collect Leicester's clean sheets without really investing any money whatsoever, Fofana is an absolute certified bargain. And finally, we've got Tariq Lamptey for 4.5 million again, the liveliest man on any football pitch. It was really such a shame to see him injured early on last season, because in the beginning of the season last year and the season before as well, he was just showing such amazing promise for Brighton. He really played so high up on that right-hand side. Technically, he's a wing back, but he really played more like a winger, constantly in the opposition's box. Now, guys, if you followed my Euro fantasy content, you're probably going to remember players like Spinazzola, Mela, Dumfries, that kind of player who is a defender, who actually thinks they're an attacker. That is Lamptey. That is Lamptey in a nutshell. Always in the opposition's box, always in the other half, always, taking on shots, trying to play those little key passes inside of the box. Exactly the kind of thing we loved so much at the Euros, and we get it all over again with Lamptey in the Premier League. Then we have the Brighton defence, insane opening fixtures for those clean sheets, and Brighton, a team that just do not concede big chances whatsoever. They've been one of the toughest defences to play against over the last year, and I remember a period where they kept something like 6 clean sheets in 7 games. It was like absolutely insane. Didn't know where all these clean sheets were coming from. It was incredible, but Brighton did it. They absolutely did it. They became some really good defences to kind of go in on, and a really good price as well. But yes, Lamptey, to have that good chance of clean sheets, to have that such attacking prowess, so being so far up the pitch for such a cheap price, it's just such a beautiful bargain. He's a beautiful bargain boy that I literally cannot seem to create a fantasy draft team without Lamptey in that team. Now, does this make him essential? Well, in terms of value for money, and if he can prove his fitness, I think so, yes. I think Lamptey is actually a player that you kind of have to have in your fantasy team. There you go, guys. I've said it. I've put it out there. There we go. So there we have it. Those are my top 8 bargains. I'm sure I could think of so many more, and I definitely will do a part 2 to this video. I'll maybe even separate it into different positions. We'll do that a little bit closer to the start of FPL. But if you do have any players you think are absolute certified bargains, please do let me know in the comment section. Let me know who you think is the biggest bargain in FPL this year. I'm sure you're going to come out with some good ones, guys. But aside from that, guys, if you did enjoy this video, please do like the video. I would appreciate that so much. Please do subscribe if you are new around here. I would also really appreciate that. And yeah, follow me on Twitter, join my mini league, link in the description, all that good stuff. But yeah, aside from that, thank you so much for watching, and I will see you later, mates. Bye bye.